I'm in Mount a Channel, welcome. Right, just realised I don't think I've done a 6-claw collet after all these years, like 5 years or so making videos. Don't think I've ever concentrated on doing a 6-claw design. So anyway, I'll do one today. We do it like a Rex claw. Definitely done this before in 8 and 5 unusually as well, but I haven't done a 6. So same style, like a modern version of the old-fashioned Rex claw. And I'm going to be using this bit of metal, just a square chunk of metal. So I'll just talk about and I'll explain how I turn that into a collet that's going to be the right dimensions and size for setting that stone. Okay, so step 1. This is kind of like reading a stone. It's not taking measurements, although it is nice to know what the measurements are, but this is not really about that. This is reading the stone. So I've got the stone next to the metal that I'm potentially going to use. That's a square section bit of wire, yeah. I'm imagining that being rolled out thin and then holding it next to the stone. Can I get the depth enough for making the collet? And can I reach that distance that I need while retaining the thickness that it's got to be a structurally sound collet? It's not just a finished collet as well, it's plus a little bit more because the claws need to be longer. That helps out setting. So what I'm doing is right at step 1, literally picking it up off my peg before doing anything. I'm going through the whole job in my mind right up to the finishing stage of actually setting the stone with this collet. So how do you know what to do with the metal? Like, what is correct? Well, think about the collet, think about the finished collet. You don't want the Collet sticking out the bottom of the collet. It's going to be uncomfortable for sort of ring or whatever. And then you need enough metal that goes up beyond the girdle so the stone can be set when it's a finished collet. So you want the collet turned up, nice cone shape with the stone sort of sitting in with a bit of metal above the claw so it can be set and then it can be cut down to what they need to be. This is going to be a ring, so it's going to have an under bezel, so I can literally, even though I just said you don't want the Collet sticking at the bottom, I can get away with it a little bit because the under bezel's going on the bottom of the stone, but it's a very minimal amount. And think about if that's a ring, you might make the under bezel with a flat side. When it goes into the ring, you're going to have to file the bottom away, so you do lose a little bit of the depth, like coming up from underneath by putting that curve on. It's a very small amount, but it does happen. So if you are playing games with getting the stone as low as possible, do be aware that it's not just the bottom of your collet plus the bottom of your under bezel, it's those two distances minus, again, a bit of your under bezel as you file up underneath it. So again, just thinking ahead, what do you actually need? So when I'm judging my metal, just make sure I can mill that out and get the height I want. So to give you an actual measurement, what I would go for, because once that's all the distances I'm talking about, that's the finished distance. So I need actually more than that working with the metal. So I reckon if I make that 4.5, that gives me enough distance for making it. So all those distances I'm just talking about, that's the finished collet. Actually, the metal I'm working with is going to be like banged up and filed, and it's going to have like plier marks around the outside and stuff, and the top's got to be filed, the bottom's got to be filed. So everything you do to it, you're losing the surface off the metal you got. I reckon just as a quick guide, 4.5 I reckon would be plenty for that size stone. 4.5 would be way too much. Look at it now. 4.2. I reckon 4.2 for this stone, which is a 5mm, I think it was. 5mm. But this is where you've got to make things specifically to your stone that you're holding. That's like a brilliant cut. CZ might not be that accurately cut. So just because the top is 5mm diameter doesn't mean I get a diamond that's 5mm diameter and then I can just use the same measurements. Might not work out. Diamond might be cut slightly differently, especially coloured gemstones. They're cut very fancy, weird, strange ways. So just go back to make your metalwork is specific to the stone you're working for, always, every time. You can't just write down these measurements and then expect them to work next time. It will cause problems for you. And just to emphasise the point, again, even more, just because I held my stone up against that and decided 4.2mm was what I'm aiming for, doesn't mean that 4.2 is definitely what I'm going to need. I may mill it out and then check the stone again and then change my mind on that. So you're just checking all the time, continuously, all the way through the job. You've got to know what you got and where you're going. Like, I can't just assume like, oh, okay, 4.2, and then just start milling it sideways, because I might not have enough length on this bit of metal. I have, but other bits of metal might not be enough. So I've got to make sure I've got the length enough, and then start getting the width. It just goes back to checking it and knowing what I've got, and then that instructs me on what I should do next. So I'm actually gonna flatten this a little bit lengthways, just to start it off, get it a bit rectangle, and then go through sideways. So I'm happy with that length. That's enough length to do the collet, but you need extra to be able to hold it and bend it, because we've got to turn it into like a rainbow shape in a bit. I said 4.2, yeah, so I'm going to widen it a little bit and then check it again against my stone. So off the mills, look at that, exactly 4.2 is good, wasn't it? Can't always do that. So that's the measurement I thought, just as a quick look. I like the look, I sort of like the look of putting that against it. Yeah, I don't know, I could do a little bit more. So it's good. It's good if you can get it right on the end, because obviously you've got the perspective difference and you're holding a stone in front of it. It does kind of cause an illusion on what height is what, two compared objects. So ideally get them side by side. So look at the end. Hang on, let's actually do it. Yeah, just a little bit more would be better. And then also looking at that has reminded me, when you're taking measurements and gauging distances and stuff on your metal, make sure you've got nice parallel ends. There's a chance you're milling metal through this way and that way. The ends can go, like the edges I should call them, go like parallel, parallelogram, so sort of wonky like that. Once you turn it into a collet, you're going to flatten it, so that might be giving you a certain measurement, but actually once you file them like more like that again, parallel, it reduces quite a lot. That can catch you out and give you cause you a problem that you weren't expecting. You thought you had enough metal, but you didn't. So anyway, yeah, a good example of why you should check it. I don't think 4.2 is enough. 4.3, 4.35, probably a little bit more suitable. So again, what I'm about to do next is concluded by what's going on with the measurements. It's just a little bit too shallow depth, but it's way too thick. So I don't have to worry really anymore about going through sideways. I'm not getting that extra thickness, that extra width by going through sideways, because when I squash it long ways, I get extra length, and then that will push it out a little bit wider as well. The Diamond Mounter channel is sponsored by nobody. If you're looking to learn to make jewellery, you've come to the right place. I've got almost 30 years experience being a top level professional jeweller. I was one of the best in the UK, but now since moving to Japan, I concentrate on sharing the skills, everything I know. I want you to be able to do it too. So you can help the channel out by clicking like, you can subscribe to the channel. If you want to take it a step further, you can become a Diamond Mounter patron. It's patreon.com/Diamond Mounter. Also, there's a brand new online soldering course, links for that also in the description. Hope to see you there. Check it out. So definitely got the width, definitely got the length. It needs to go a little bit thinner, so I'm just going to run it through long ways. How thin do I want it? This is a mistake I've made many times in my career. I'm too scared of making metal too thin. But I hate a collet when it makes it harder to make, and it's just a more chunky, clumsy looking thing when you've got metal that's too thick. I reckon, I literally think I could mill that down to 0.7 and it'll be good for this collet, for this size stone. Go up a little bit in thickness when the stones are big, but that's only a 5mm stone. The metal, it might not look like much. If I mill that out to 0.7, it might not look like thick enough, but once you turn it up into a collet, it almost seems to thicken up. Again, I'll just go down 0.9, I'll check it, a little bit thinner. I'm expecting to be 0.7, 0.75 will be correct for continuing with it. So anyway, I'll shut up now, I'll have to do some milling, thin it out, and then show you what I think is correct. Okay, so did a bit of milling, checking the metal again. It's coming up 1 mil. Let's have a look against the stone. I know this is thicker than I want it to be anyway, but it's nice to know how much too thick it is. It's exactly way too thick. So I said 0.75, so that's going to be 3/4 of that. That will be approaching what I want it to be. To be honest, looking at it, having a stone next to the metal, I still think 0.75 might still be a bit thick. So anyway, I'll mill it down a bit more, see how it goes. Okay, so have a close look at it. Final decision. I think this is going to be good. it still could go thinner, but I'm going to leave it because, remember, I think I mentioned earlier, after it's a collet, it's going to be like plier marks and stuff, need to be papered off, and after polishing and stuff, after it's finished, it all takes the surface away. So it's a bit of a balance making collets and jewellery. You need thick enough metal to do the job. Thicker it is, there's like a safety margin. You can, like, if you little scratches and stuff, you can take metal away and it doesn't go too thin. There's a balance between that and then being wasteful as well. I don't want it way too thick because then you're just filing it all away and turning it to dust. And as I'm sure you appreciate, gold's expensive now. I think just yesterday, time of making this video, well, what's the date today? It's Wednesday the 8th of October 2025. Gold just hit another all-time high. It was either this morning or yesterday. Currencies of all the countries all over the planet are all debasing, and people are putting their money into hard assets like gold and Bitcoin because they're good stores of value. Yeah, so good news for investors and assets, people who invest in assets, but bad news for jewellers because everything costs more and we've got to pass it on to customers, so everything's going up.